Today I'm going to be sharing some PanPastel and colored pencil tips. My favorite paper for working with this combination is Canson Me10. I like to work on the smooth side. I've already used tracing and transfer paper to transfer my image cleanly onto my paper. This is important because I want to let the gray of my paper show through. If I draw directly on the paper and have to erase anything, which, let's be real, we're all going to be doing some erasing when we draw things out, I would end up with smudge marks all over that nice, clean gray paper. One of the things I love with Canson Me10s is that they have colored papers. They have white as well, but I usually go with gray or black when I work with PanPastels and colored pencils on Canson Me10s. I want that background color showing through, so I don't want smudge marks anywhere. Tracing and transfer paper will allow you to draw your work out on another piece of paper, trace that, assuming you want a freehand. You could also just trace the reference photo if you prefer. But either way, I'm able to get my clean image onto the paper without messing anything up, no smudge marks, just a perfectly nice line drawing. And you can use the transfer paper that is either white like I've used here, but they also have black if that's easier depending on the color of paper you're working on. Now I'm using my PanPastels and soft tools. All the supplies I'm using, by the way, are linked in the video description. Now, I am not applying the PanPastels super thick. It's actually fairly thin. The PanPastels will last you a really long time, as long as you're not taking it on your paper. You don't need a lot to get really good coverage. These are very, very opaque and they stick super well to the paper. I'm just getting the hint of some shading with the orange and the red. I'm going to be doing all of my detail work with the colored pencils later, so I don't need anything perfect here, but I do want to keep my edges fairly clean. I'll usually hold the soft tools to the edge or to the side, kind of turn them inwards so that I can get a finer line for the edge of the flower or whatever subject that I'm filling in. Before I started with the colored pencils, I used Spectrafix in a fine mist sprayer and lightly misted the PanPastels to sort of seal them down. Now they'll still smudge if I run my hand across it, but it does allow the PanPastels to adhere better to the paper, and that is going to be helpful when I go on top with my colored pencils. Now at this stage, everything is super messy, but we are going to clean this up and refine everything with our colored pencils. But first, I have a quick message from my sponsor, me. I'm the sponsor. I'm all I can afford. Are you enjoying this lesson? You can follow along with the real-time version, pencil stroke by pencil stroke, for as little as $6 a month. You'll get access to all of my future Patreon-only live streams, new videos all the time, and over 400 long-format videos. Let me help you take your work to the next level. And back to our project. So at this stage, everything is fairly messy. Don't worry or stress yourself out thinking, oh my gosh, it looks terrible, it's never gonna look good. This is a stage where I often see students give up. They feel like they need to start over because it doesn't look good yet. But the problem with that is it never ends up looking good because every single thing that you paint or draw is going to go through these very ugly stages. That is a part of the process. You have to work through it. And occasionally you'll have something happen that you know was an actual mistake. You put a line, a black smudge, something is where it's not supposed to be. Fix it. Learn to fix those mistakes. So in the case with the colored pencils, one of the easiest ways to fix things is to use a Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. You can erase just enough pencil, not to bring the paper back to its original color, but to remove enough of the pigment of the pencil so that new pigment will stick well on top. So you can fix a lot of mistakes. Or let's say I got a huge smudge on the background that's supposed to be just part of the paper. Don't freak out and throw your work away. Figure out how to work that smudge into the piece. So depending on where that smudge is located, maybe I now decide to draw some bubbles in the background or another butterfly or flowers. Figure out how to work that mistake into the piece so that it looks intentional. A problem many artists who work in realism have is that they're too worried about making every single thing perfect. Remember that our reference photos are our guides, but our work doesn't need to be an exact copy in order to be beautiful. Sure, we should all aim to improve, But we should also feel incredibly proud of everything we create. Enjoy the beauty in your artwork. Don't be too critical of every single thing. This flower is actually a good example of that. I wanted mine to have higher contrast. I want my reds a little bit darker. I want some of the petals more defined than what I saw on my reference photo. That reference photo is just a guide. Feel free to change things if you think it'll make your work look better. Now that everything is pretty well blocked in, I'm going to go through and clean things up, work on my values, make my darks a little bit darker, my lights a little bit lighter, so that it just pops off the paper more. The pencil you see me using here is the Derwent Lightfast Purple. This is like my magic weapon when working with oranges. I use that purple for everything anyway, but especially oranges. You may look at orange and think, okay, I need shadows, I need dark, and jump to your black pencil. That is definitely not the answer in most cases when it comes to oranges and yellows. With orange and yellows, I'm typically going to use violets, magentas, or purples for my shading. If I need black, I'm going to use it for my darkest bits, but I'm not going to be using that very much when it comes to layering or shading, I should say, over my oranges and yellows. And I'm even going to use that purple pencil to shade some of the brown tones. And there is no purple at all in my reference photo. It's just that I know if I'm using orange or yellow, I'm going to be using purples and magentas for my shadows. Pulling out a few more bright highlights using my Derwent Drawing Chinese White on that flower. Make that pop a bit more. And there is our finished drawing. Again, if you want to follow along step by step, this is from our Patreon live stream. So if you sign up right now for as little as $6 a month, you get access to the full tutorial for this, plus over 400 other lessons. I would love to help you take your artwork to the next level. Did you enjoy this video? I've got even more tips for PanPastel and colored pencil in this video.